So today's video is a little bit different. We've recently started playing Warhammer 40,000. Yes, this is our prop to demonstrate. For the first time. I've been massively into the lore and the books and painting the minis, but never played the game. We have spent the last 20 years?
So, yeah, since it came out.
Yeah,
whenever it's
20 so plus years playing Middle-earth strategy battle game, or however it's been known, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, whatever.
Bad times.
They are very, very different games, so we want to basically talk about our experience in the Switch. Not that we're not playing Middle-earth anymore, but getting to learn a new system. Also, which one's better, which one's preferred, and how they can both kind of learn from each other.
Yeah, it's been very much a learning curve experience with it all. There's so many things we're still getting wrong, and logically may not make sense to us.
I mean, in 20 years, we're still getting many things wrong in Middle-earth.
We don't know that perfectly, but this we're learning for, like, store leagues and stuff, so we have to do it right. There's no house rules in this one.
No.
Where we very much had house rules in that for a long time, which does change how you learn things, and definitely gets in the bad habits.
Yeah, it does. What are the key differences? I suppose we should start there.
Yeah.
I think turns and phases are probably the biggest difference, because in 40k you do everything in your turn.
Yep.
So you'd move, shoot, charge, and fight. Whereas in Middle-earth, I would move, then James would move, then I would shoot, James would shoot, then we do combat.
Yeah.
So it's very, very different in that way. Tell me what you think is better.
I am torn, if I'm honest. I like bits of both. So, I mean, I like that there's a separate charge phase in 40k as opposed to it all being done in movement.
Yes.
So you can shoot and charge
Yeah.
and things like that. But also, 40k, I feel like there's an unrealistic no reaction time. So if you were doing all your stuff and I'm just there, it's like, I'm getting shot for a minute. Yeah, I'm getting charged. Give me a minute and then I'll react.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, what do we keep saying? Illogical.
Yeah, I get that. Illogical?
Illogical?
Yeah, I get that. But technically it's also the same in Middle-earth, in a way, because I still do all my shooting first. So technically you still stand there and get shot.
Yes, but I could move and stuff first. I can react to your... So you've moved to get in line of sight with me, and that's like going, oh look, he can see me now with the bow he's shooting at me. I'm just gonna wait, and then I'll react afterwards. Where realistically it's like, oh, you've moved so you can see me, or I'm gonna go undercover before you shoot. That's the way it works in my head. That would be the correct way of doing it. So I think they both have their good points, but I feel like there's a blend somewhere in the middle that might be the best.
Yes.
But I do like both. I don't dislike either.
That's exactly the same as me. I think you hit the nail on the head, really. Those are the main differences in terms of the turns. And yeah, I do think overall Middle-earth is more logical.
Yes. And there's a big one that we keep coming up against is like line of sight.
I knew that was going to be,
Yeah, which I'm just going to bring it up now because it's one of the biggest bugbears so far, where terrain just doesn't make sense in 40k to me. So walls are infinitely high, but you can still fly over them, but you can never see over them.
Yeah,
or see through them. There's no windows.
We can put a good example of this, right? So yesterday we had a game. I'm hoping you guys can see this, where there was, I have my granddad phone here. This is a model. There was a sniper here. Okay, had very, very clear line of sight at this model. Very clear. You can see the whole thing. But apparently you can't shoot through or over terrain.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So apparently there's no height.
Yeah.
This is actually up here.
Yeah.
Limitlessly, but you can fly over it. That's fine. It's not logical.
Yeah. It's
it really bugged me.
Yeah.
Mainly because this was my model, so I was the one that was.
Yeah, and it's just one of the weird bits of if you're like just here, you could shoot, but if you're like back here, because you're now shooting through the terrain, and I'm not on the base, now you can't.
Yeah.
And I know there's always a point when you can stop seeing someone, but it's just that just because there's terrain in the way doesn't mean there's never a pathway through it.
And that's the other thing that bugs me the most about 40k, and again, we're not veteran players, we've played a lot of games in a short space of time, but it's still new to us. The whole situation surrounding terrain, whereas they give you the terrain layouts, they have the base diagrams, and it shows where there's a platform and where there's something solid, where there's a wall. and then they show a big base around it. That's all well and good, but there's no official way of buying terrain like that. So instead, what everyone does is buy really cheap, laser-cut printed MDF terrain, which just isn't as good. You can get stuff like this, which is great, but it's not
tournament legal.
It's not tournament legal because it doesn't follow the rules. It's not the right shape. It doesn't have the base, so it just doesn't work. That is silly. There's some glue came off.
Yeah.
Whereas in Middle Earth, you have terrain. Mm-hmm. It can be classed as different things, kind of like ruins and whatnot.
Yeah.
But what it is what it is.
Yeah.
If there's a window here, you can shoot through it. If they can see them through the window, you can shoot them. You just take like an obstructed view roll or whatever. So it's far more logical. And coming to organise this league in store at the moment for 40k, the terrain situation has been a nightmare.
It has.
With Middle Earth, whatever you have, you can play with. You could put a bunch of DVD cases down, and boys still those DVDs, or books, or milk bottles, whatever, and it works as terrain. Because it is what it is. Line of sight is line of sight, if that makes sense. It's just significantly superior, in my opinion, that rule.
I mean, what I was going to say. Yeah, the other part is, not to say just terrain, but if you've got a model, and it's the whole line of sight thing again. So say I'm behind this wall, but the end of my spear is poking out by here, you can see the model. Which I think logically, so that's just, but there's no obstruction, kind of like what you say, is that I think that's dumb, that I could shoot a part of your weapon and there's no hindrance in my hit rolls, things like that.
I get what you're saying. I think
but if I because I just forgot to turn my model a bit on the base where he'd actually be outside completely.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know.
I think the way they justify it is that if there's a shooting unit here, they can see a sphere, they now know that you're there. It's like, oh, I can see something moving.
Maybe you can't shoot terrain.
No, but that sings the idea as if you've got a whole unit behind cover, but you can see one, I can kill them all. Because technically that one can die and they can move into it.
Yeah.
I guess it's the same. You could,
we
know he's there, so he could technically move his spear and stick his head out.
It's like another argument. It's one of the less logical parts for 40k. I'll be like,
yeah.
Wait.
Another big difference is the whole, not just the way we move in the turns sequence, but the fact that you can move, advance, and charge in certain circumstances. You can cover huge distances in 40k.
Yeah.
Which to me makes you have to think a lot more about how you're positioning. Because if there's a very good melee unit here, I could be 30 inches away. I'm like, technically, you could still reach me.
Yeah.
You could have a 10-inch movement, roll a 6 to advance, and then, well, exaggeration. You know what I mean? You can move a significant distance. Whereas in Middle Earth, pretty much just move 6. Or 10. And
there's odd heroic moves and stuff. They're far less common.
Yeah. Now that you've said that, heroic actions versus command points. Now, what's interesting about this is in Middle Earth, your heroes are the ones that have heroic abilities. Whereas in 40k, us as the player is essentially the commander. We're the one that's using the abilities. There's some key differences there. Apologies, our door keeps open because the shop's open right now, so we're getting a bit distracted. The key differences are your heroes are the ones that have points of might. You use the points of might to do these heroic actions. So you could say for Arabo, for example, I could use all of his. It could come into play and make a huge difference, but I could still have other heroes that can do similar or different actions that make big differences, whereas in 40k, I use my points. Once I've used them, I've used them.
Yeah.
You can get more, but there's big tactical and strategic differences there.
Yeah, I suppose it was 40k is more tactical warfare, where Middle Earth is more skirmish. So it's a little...
Yeah, I suppose.
There's less of a... because of its sci-fi, it's different. It's a different kind of battle. I mean, we're yet to learn Age of Sigmar, so I don't know how the rules slightly differ for that. But I'm going to assume it's probably more 40k than Middle Earth. Yeah,
for sure.
I don't know, I guess after 40k, everything in Middle Earth just feels small compared to...
It does. You can do big games in Middle Earth, of course.
Again, it might just be model size as well. Scale makes everything feel smaller.
Yeah, that's the thing. Middle Earth does, scale-wise, I definitely prefer 40k. I think Middle Earth, Middle Earth models are just a little bit too small. I would love to see humans and elves at Space Marine size, and
that'd be
dwarves and
amazing.
stuff at Eldar size or whatever. That'd be much better.
I mean, I can't imagine there'd be a massive kickoff if they did it. But if they released like Middle Earth Strategy Battle Game 2.0, new scale, because obviously then nothing would go over. But
I think it'd be great.
I
think personally love it. I mean, we've bought almost every release ever from Middle Earth, so if anyone's to complain, it could be us. But they essentially did it with 40k. They primarised all of the Space Marines, got rid of all of the previous generation of Space Marines because they look kind of stumpy. Yeah. And what's weird about Middle Earth is through the years, it felt like things got even smaller. Like when they did the Hobbit releases and you had
the skinny owls.
Yeah, the Ranger owls and stuff, they were just tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny, and it didn't really work out. So yeah, pros and cons to both. Let's move on to what each could learn from the other. What do you think Middle Earth could take from 40k that would improve it?
Scale.
Moving on.
No, like I kind of mentioned earlier, like I feel like adding an advanced stage into it, or charge stage, sorry, rather than just having movement. So basically, so you can shoot and charge, because people can charge and still fire. Okay, you might want to, because Middle Earth, you probably have to do some kind of like movement and penalty with it and stuff. But I like that there's that additional phase in a way.
I think one thing that would be great for Middle Earth to take from 40k is saving throws. Because in Middle Earth, what happens is you're in battle, X does a wound to Y, and you get a certain amount of fate points if you're a hero. If you're just a random elf, you just lose a wound or you die. Whereas every model or unit in 40k has a saving throw.
Yeah.
And the more powerful that unit is, the lower dice you have to roll in order to save the wound.
Yeah.
I quite like that.
Yeah, same. Yeah,
it's just armor.
Yeah, because it'd be the same like the way, for example, my Custodian's army 2-up saves, 4+ incog. Like, that's better than other armies. The same way that if you had an elf army, they should have more survivability. I know their armor might be better or something anyway, but there's not a massive difference. But in general, they shouldn't be as cannon fodder as, say, goblins.
Yeah.
It does
work the same as 40k in a way. You have strength versus toughness and strength versus defense in Middle Earth.
Yeah.
But there's the extra layer of saving throws in 40k, and I think it makes sense. Because just because I hit you doesn't mean I'm damaging you.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, there's a question then. Which wound system do you prefer? The wound chart for Middle Earth, or the four equal for?
That's a good point, because that's a big difference. I definitely prefer the 40k wound.
I think I do as well.
Yeah. So those of you that don't know, in Middle Earth there's a wound chart. So it goes strength to 1 to 10, defense 1 to 10, and then you kind of match them to see what dice roll you need. If the disparity is big and it's low strength, high defense, for example, you might need 6s followed by 6s. Whereas in 40k, it's very simple. If one is higher than the other, well, let's start. If they're the same, it's 4s. If one is higher than, strength is higher than the defense, it's 3s. If it's double, it's 2s, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah? I think that explains it.
Yeah.
That is far simpler to get your head around. You don't need to keep referring to a wound chart. You just go, oh, it's double, it's 2s. Or the defense is double, it's 6s. Yeah, and it makes far quicker calculations.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's times where maybe the 6s followed by does come in handy. I guess
it goes back to saving throws. So even if you
true. It's the saving throw that makes the difference. Yeah.
And feel no pains. And there's all these extra layers that powerful heroes can get. Whereas in Middle Earth, they might need 6s followed by 4s or something. But if they get that, and you've got no fate left, you're just going down, I'm afraid. So I definitely prefer the 40k way of doing that.
Agreed.
Is there anything else that we would take from 40k to Middle Earth?
Oh, that's a tough one. So
we got scale.
Yeah.
Charge phase.
Yeah.
I do like the charge phase. Although I don't know how it would work. Go in, shoot, move, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. There'd have to be a bit of jiggling, but yeah, you get what we mean.
Yeah.
And wound chart. Saving throws. Anything else?
Anything really that different combat when you're in it?
Yeah, combat is different in the way that you roll to see who wins the combat rather than you charge, you go first.
Yeah, I guess it kind of makes... I don't know. I thought that's a really tough one. I don't know which... I don't know which I prefer, though, because they both make sense in their own way. Like, if you're in a fight, you're both probably going to land a hit or two. It's very unlikely it's going to be complete one-sided, so it makes sense that you both get to attack. But then also, if you're dueling with swords, as it would be in Middle-earth, then you're probably, one of you's landing, and that's probably going to do the damage. It's unlikely you're both getting cut at the same time in that same battle phase, because then you have more battle phases where it would go back and forth more. But then, I guess the thing is with that though, like, as well, is it makes heroes a lot tougher, because half the time you can't even attempt to land a strike.
True.
Whereas in 40k, at least you have attempts, even if they are very hard.
If you survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess in Middle-earth you have fight values, and the more powerful the hero is represented in a higher fight value, making it easier to win the fight roll. Whereas in 40k, it just comes down to who must fight first, essentially. Who charged or who's... Oh yeah, pros and cons to both there. That's a tough one.
It is, yeah, because Middle-earth as well. It's like, say if you've got a 3-on-3 with a hero and you've got, say, 6 dice, you only need 1 6 and you've won. Because you've got the higher fight value. Like, you can get 6 of the load of ones, where is that happening in 40k? That'd be like, okay, you get 1 hit, but the rest are useless. So, I really don't know.
I think that's one of those rules where they both kind of work, and if I'm being honest, it's nice to have both.
Yeah, they both work in their own way.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, let's flip it then.
Okay.
What can 40k learn from Middle-earth? We covered one already. Line of sight is a big one. I'm going to change that. Not just line of sight. Common sense.
Yeah.
Just being logical with all decisions. If I can see you, I can hit you. I can shoot you.
Yeah.
There's something in the way, it's a harder hit roll.
Yeah.
It should be as simple as that.
Yeah, I think it should be something simple. Like, if you can see 50% or more of the model, it's like -1. If you see less, -2.
Yeah.
If you can't see, then it's nothing.
Yeah.
Just that it doesn't need to be complicated. It just, I know you could then argue, but could you see this much or this much? That's like 45%. So but I mean, really, hopefully you're playing people who are like fine to play with and sportsmen in it.
Yeah.
But that's the case no matter the rules, no matter what. So, what?
The structure of the turn is then move, shoot, combat. Is that preferable to move, shoot, charge, combat? It's such a tough one. It's such a tough one.
One thing Middle-earth, I guess, have got on its side is it's not been touched in a while. And they haven't tried to make things different. They haven't introduced broken things.
True.
The game has just been the game for a long time because Games Workshop kind of forget about it.
It's not just that. I think it's a very functioning system.
Yeah, but admittedly, 10 is my introduction to 40k, so I don't have the experience of the 9 that came before. But from what I've heard from people and stuff is that they mess with it too much. And things that worked and worked fine, they then change and then they become problems. Whereas if they just left them, a lot of these things would have been fine. And a lot of players have dropped out of playing since 10 because it's not as good, in their opinion, as before. Whereas because Middle-earth has never, they've left it. The people who love it, and that style changed.
Yeah. On the flip side of that, though, again, just playing devil's advocate, I think introducing new stuff keeps it fresh and exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas playing the same game with the same rules for 20 years can get stale, as great as the game is.
Yeah.
Whereas, at least in 40k, they release balance sheets and stuff.
There's like a whole new model this year.
True, there's a new orc captain,
Spoiled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, though. I think overall, I think 10 has basically been a simplified version of previous rule sets.
Yeah.
Has been an introduction for lots of new players like ourselves, which is a good thing. And personally, I quite like getting these rule updates. So I'm like, ooh, what's changed? What's been updated? Are my guys better now or worse? This month I played Dark Angels, Deathwing Knights had a really cool upgrade. They're now more expensive points-wise, but I like the upgrade, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
And if you get something that's been nerfed, it sucks. The chances are they've also had a points drop, so you can introduce new things into your army. And I quite like that change and stuff.
It's kind of all done off what's being played, how things are going. I'm going to assume it's not. It's not just randomly done just to mess with people. There's a reasoning behind the changes.
Yeah.
So I'd love that if they did that in Middle-earth as well.
Yeah. Well, they have a full eye on the meta and the competitive scene, Warhammer, at Games Workshop, which I like. And there's not as much of a scene in Middle-earth, so there's less to change, I suppose.
Yeah.
And also, just don't fix what ain't broke.
Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of what I can learn from Middle-earth, mostly I think it comes down to terrain and
Yeah, I agree.
line of sight stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, like we said, it's the logicality.
Yeah.
Yeah, logicality.
I think 40k try and overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. Middle Earth have kept a lot of things simpler.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it. I do think, I prefer my heroes having their abilities and being able to use points of might to use what's essentially stratagems, rather than me picking them for whoever, because I don't think every model in my army should essentially have access to the same abilities. That makes sense. So I want to fire a watch with this person. Well, what if he's not a very good thing, and why do they all hit on sixes? Surely some are better than others. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like Aragorn, he's really good at one thing, which is why he has certain abilities, and he uses his might to use those abilities. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a hard one to get the point across with.
Yeah.
I think I get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think. Maybe. Anyway, let's conclude. What's better?
I mean, like, I've gone on quite into the 40k at the moment, so I think there's a massive bias on this is new and fresh. So there's that part of me that goes, I like this at the moment because it's the new shiny toy.
Yeah.
But also, maybe we have a lot of house rules in Middle Earth.
Yeah.
So I would love to go back and almost learn properly.
Yeah.
Obviously, not to the, like, we can't even be, like, there's no house rules if something's a bit iffy. But I would like to kind of go back and play again now after playing so much 40k.
Yeah.
In my head, I still, like, Middle Earth just has that special place in my heart.
Same.
So I feel like still Middle Earth might be my favourite. If the same amount of people in our store played Middle Earth as 40k, I'd probably play more Middle Earth.
I think I would too. Yeah.
But I like having both.
Same. I also prefer painting 40k. I don't enjoy painting Middle Earth minis.
One day I'll get to painting.
For me, learning 40k has been, like you said, fresh, exciting, and because I've spent so many years living the lore, that's been really exciting too, and getting to build my army and armies that I know so much about. Similar to with Middle Earth, that's kind of part of the enjoyment of that. We know it so well, the world and the lore, that playing with the armies and having our own battles is really exciting. However, and as much as I have enjoyed playing 40k, part of it has almost made me miss playing Middle Earth.
Yeah.
Which I think says a lot.
Yeah.
Not that I dislike 40k or I necessarily think that Middle Earth is better, but I think they're both great games, and you should play both.
Yeah.
There's a cop-out for you.
Yeah, or scale up Middle Earth, and then we can do Minas Tirith versus Space Marines.
Hell yeah. Alright, that's pretty much it. If you've made it this far in the video, I think it'd be cool to point out that we are actually planning on going back to doing some battle reports. We have a table right here. We have a table right there. We have a table over there. Why wouldn't we do battle reports? If you haven't seen the store, there was a tour video previously to this one, so check that out. But yeah, we're basically just trying to set up a functioning and efficient live streaming solution.
Yeah, basically.
Whether we live stream or live record, we'll do one of those. Because the issue in the past has been, it's a full day to plan and fill a battle report, and it's a full, probably 2 days to edit a battle report. So we figured if we could just do it live, that makes it a lot more efficient, doesn't get in the way of the store running so much, because obviously we have to be mindful of ignoring customers and whatnot. So yeah, that's the plan. We're going to be doing some battle reports, not just Middle Earth, but 40k as well. And then you can see live differences between the rules and which one we clearly enjoy more.
And see cryo my custodies become indestructible.
I'm on a bit of a losing streak to custodians at the moment. That's another difference as well. It costs us so much to build 40k armies that we only have one army each. So we're doing the same battle over and over and over again.
That is
Whereas when we played Middle Earth, because we've got everything, it's over 20 years, but we've got pretty much everything. You can be like, I'm going to play Orcs, next in Elves, next in. We've got enough.
Yeah, it never felt as much of a thing getting new armies and those new stuff for that.
No.
But this, it just feels like such a...
There's a lot more choice.
Yeah.
A lot more choice.
Like, I suppose that's the other thing. We specifically built armies for points. A lot more 40k, where Middle Earth, it was like, what we got?
Yeah, true.
Because we just had so much, Yeah.
Interesting. It is interesting. This was a fun debate, fun thing to discuss. I don't know if it's been discussed much on YouTube. It might have been discussed millions of times, but this is our 2 cents. Let us know what you think on the comparison between these two games. What can they learn from each other? I think it may be a topic for another video in the future, really discussing how they can benefit each other. But yeah, that's that. Yeah. And also, we talked about this so many times, I want to do some crossover videos.
Oh, 100%. Especially doing 40k more. I don't think it'd be too difficult to get like character sheets.
No, make our own stats
Yeah.
characters and do like Middle Earth play with 40k rules or 40k play with Middle Earth rules. Then we'd really find out what's better.
That's true.
And then let's just do Middle Earth versus 40k. Oh yeah, now I'm excited. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Again, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Have I said like and subscribe? If not,
Like and subscribe.
like and subscribe. Cheers for watching guys, see you again.
Bye.